If you've been stuck in go, go, go motion as a musician, entrepreneur, or music educator, in today's episode, I'm going to give you a very important strategy that will help you power charge your progress while also giving you the right perspective. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Fabiana Claure. And in today's episode, I'm going to speak about the importance of pausing before carrying forward, pausing in order to recalibrate your perspective, and pausing as the ultimate power charger for your success in business and in life. So, a lot of what we talk about when it comes to building our businesses has to do with momentum, forward momentum, taking action. And of course, that is important to get results. One of the greatest qualities that as entrepreneurs we must have is this ability to take action, right? To not just pause and analysis paralysis or stay stuck in a place of inaction or indecision, especially indecision. So, the narrative in terms of business building steps and strategies relies 90% of the time around action and taking action and being able to recover from mistakes and letting go of past disappointments and moving forward with vision and momentum and clarity and conviction. And so we have been talking about this for many, many podcast episodes. And I think it's an important part of the process. Without a willingness to act quickly and to make decisions quickly, even if sometimes things don't go the way you want to be able to recover quickly and keep going, without that ability to do things as an entrepreneur in this way, it will be very hard to be successful. Now, in today's episode, though, I want to bring in a different perspective, one that is equally as important, even though it may not be followed as often as we need to. Here's the thing, like when you're doing exercise, what happens when you are trying to build your body, build your muscles, create a new level of strength in your physicality? Well, there's a process where your muscles need to tear, right? The fibers of your muscles need to tear when you are lifting weights. You're stretching yourself out of your comfort zone. You push yourself to the limit. And when you reach that limit is when the muscle fibers start tearing out in a good way. And that's good for you because in the rebuilding process, you build more muscle. Now, what happens if you only lift weights or do exercise over and over and over again without actually taking days off or pausing? Well, then you go to the other side of the equation, which is you can injure yourself, right? And we see this a lot in musicians because our practicing and our performing relies on our athleticism in a way. It's a physical thing. We have to practice, we have to play. And I mean, we also can get injured from just over practicing and not giving ourselves enough time to pause, recharge, recalibrate, as well as to make sure that we're doing it with the right technique. So we're talking about starting this episode with an analogy in exercise, physicality in the exercise system, as well as how we do it as musicians. But then I'm going to share with you why this same framework applies to business and why, if you are only building, creating, doing, executing, moving in a forward momentum, which again is important, but it cannot be the only way you're moving in your business. There must be a moment where you take a step back, where you pause, and I'll share why. So, coming back to the analogy of exercise, right? What happens when you stop exercising and you take a break, right? Your body regenerates, rejuvenates itself, and in a way becomes stronger in the rebuilding process. And so when you take some time to recover, right, there's a recovery phase that needs to happen after you've pushed yourself, after you've torn those muscle fibers. There needs to be a period of healing, rebuilding, and recovering before you can continue pushing yourself to yet the next frontier, right? Because if you're familiar with the concept of lifting weights and progressive weight training overload, like whatever it's called, right? It's about pushing yourself every time more and more and more and more. If you can reach a certain level of weights, then there's a point where if you keep doing that same level, you're going to stay stagnant and you're not going to keep growing. And so you can keep adding more weights and more weights and more weights. And it's not that the weights become easier for you, it's that you are becoming stronger in the process. That's a very important way of looking at it. Now, in order for you to become stronger, though, you cannot just push, push, push. You have to take a time to pause. And in that pausing mode, when you enter that recovery phase, that's when everything starts rebuilding, nourishing your cells. The blood flow starts going through your fibers, your tissues. And then next time you sit down or you start exercising again, you're stronger. You have now grown. You have gotten to a different level in your capacity, in your potential. Now, what I see happen a lot in business, and I found myself in this situation many times, and it's something I'm constantly having to take stock in and really assess, is how can I balance the forward motion momentum of creating, connecting, finding opportunities to push myself out of my comfort zone, learning new skills, understanding new tactics, immersing myself in environments where I can surround myself with like-minded musicians or creatives or entrepreneurs, preferably people who are way ahead of where I want to be, right? It's always about pushing myself to be outside of my comfort zone. Yes, while all of that is important, one of the things that I have been thinking about in the recent months is how important it is to stop, to create spaces of pause, of reflection, of recalibration, and taking stock of what you are doing and making sure that you are not in the momentum that is trying to solve the wrong problem. Here's what happens. If you constantly are in a go, go, go motion and you're always trying to fix the next problem and trying to find the next thing to address or to create or to design or to solve, to build for your clients, you can easily get into a lane that, although it may feel very engaging and stimulating and exciting, it's actually it's getting you in the direction that you don't really need to be in, that your business no longer needs. But because you're so quickly going through that, you don't take the time to recalibrate and reassess whether or not that's what you should do. You're just doing it. And especially if you've been building it for a while, right? And you've been trying to get it to go in a certain way, it's so difficult sometimes to take a step back, to pause, and to ask yourself, is this still what I need to be doing? Hey, quick pause here. If you are a musician, music educator, or creative entrepreneur who's built a successful business, I need to ask you something. Do you feel trapped by your own success? Maybe you have steady clients, consistent revenue, maybe even a team, but you're working more hours than ever. You can't take time off because everything depends on you. You've become the bottleneck in your own operation. Sound familiar? Here's the truth. You're not failing, you're just succeeding without the right systems. The skills that got you here aren't the same ones that you need to scale. I know because I've been there. I founded my music academy in 2011, and by 2016, I had built the systems to manage it completely remotely on autopilot. That success led to my online business, which replaced my university salary and gave me the freedom to build a lifestyle business on my own terms. I've also helped countless musicians around the world do the exact same thing, win back their time while exponentially scaling their income on their own terms. That's why I'm hosting my free Autopilot Your Music Business Masterclass to show you exactly how you can do this too. Go to musiciansprofitmasterclass.com and secure your spot right now. Imagine having the freedom to focus on what you love the most while your business thrives on autopilot. That's exactly what we'll build together. Now, back to today's episode. So I'll give you some examples. I speak with a lot of musicians who have been building coursework material and creating videos and content because they wanted to build a business online. They wanted to monetize their knowledge. And they thought that the first way to do that was just starting to record a bunch of videos and starting to create all this content in order to then package it, productize it, if you will, and sell it as a finished product. And so they've put years or maybe sometimes months and years into their project of building this library. And yet, if you've been following my podcast, you should know that I do not recommend first creating the entire library of trainings in order to sell it as a finished product without any feedback or insights or even paying clients yet. And instead, I recommend first focusing on building the outline of the program, the framework, understand what you want to sell, who you want to sell it to, why is it important, how does it connect with your mission, your why, and all the positioning strategies that need to happen and packaging strategies first. Then enrolling clients into the vision of your program, not the actual program. And then only once you have paying clients, building the curriculum and starting to create the materials week after week in real time with them and getting their feedback. So your curriculum building process becomes a responsive process versus a process that is anticipating, right? And it's so much like more organic, more flowing, and more enjoyable, to be honest, to do it that way when you're literally responding to what your clients are telling you they need from you. And every week you can come up with ideas because you're interacting with them and seeing what they are doing. But here's the thing. Many times I speak with musicians who come to me and say, I would like your guidance or perspective around better positioning my business. Here's what I'm doing. And when the topic of maybe pausing the production side of building the business, meaning not continuing to focus on the curriculum development and instead focus on the positioning of the offer, their own branding positioning, which is very important. If you're an artist, a musician, entrepreneur, creative, that you want to start really creating content and sharing your knowledge online, your brand needs to be clearly defined. You need to have a way of communicating who you are, what you do, why it matters, and who it's for. Yeah. And most of the times when artists get so immersed in the idea of just building their teaching materials, because it's your subject matter of expertise, you get excited about it and you just want to keep creating videos and creating content and creating without yet having built the actual business, right? And so that's just an example of what it could look like to get very caught up in the forward momentum, but it's actually not the right momentum. And unless you can create space in your time, in your day, to either pause and reflect on your own, which is important, and then maybe to take some time to check with other people to make sure that you have also the right roadmap and guidance, unless you're taking some time to pause and to reassess whether or not all this time and energy that you've been putting into this particular thing lately, if it's still what you need to do, right? Or not. And maybe if you would take more time to wait, to pause, to reflect, to redirect your attention and to open your mind to the fact that you may have been caught in a hamster wheel, that you just think you're doing a lot, but you're actually going towards the wrong goal. If you take some time to pause and ask yourself at least once a week, some of the most successful entrepreneurs have something that's called thinking time, and they protect that. They protect their thinking time. Warren Buffett is famous for having talked about his thinking time, where sometimes his team members would come in, would want to ask him questions, this and that, and he would say, no, I'm in my thinking time. And it sounds very basic, but yet most entrepreneurs do not create space to think. They only have space to do. So in this episode, I would like to encourage you to maybe reflect it in your day-to-day life. Maybe you right now are in this fast-paced mode. Maybe you're in a building phase. You're making a lot of progress. You're feeling all this forward momentum and you're just like, yes, 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 I'm going to where I want to be. I'm so excited. And while I think that's really good and important, if you don't create space for recovery, just like you would in the physical side of building your body, and you're just lifting weights all day long, every day, eventually you may injure yourself. The same thing can happen in business. Eventually you may find yourself that you've put all this time and energy into the wrong thing. And unless you gave yourself that space to reassess, to understand a different way of doing things, and to learn and consider the fact that perhaps all the things you're paying attention to are not what you should be doing. There may be a significant portion of those things that need to be restructured, redirected into different things, and your willingness to let go of the attachment that you may feel towards those things. For example, when I break the news to many people, when I speak to them and they tell me, I've been doing all these things and I've been trying to get clients for my one-on-one studio. I get that a lot, musicians, especially music educators who haven't yet understood the notion of stopping to trade their time for money, and they're still trying to grow their business the old way. They're investing in heavily marketing materials, and they're sometimes hiring marketing agencies, and they're so committed to continuing to push through the goal of growing their studio and going from, 20 hours a week to 50 hours a week, or from 10 students to 30 students. And they're just like so locked into their old goals that when I share with them, hey, what if you didn't have to hire a marketing company to try to get you all these one-on-one students? What if you didn't have to keep building your website? What if you stop spending money on ads that are just trying to gear towards more one-on-one lessons? What if instead of doing all of that, we take a pause, we recalibrate what is your offer really going to do, how to reposition it so you stop trading your time and you can start monetizing your knowledge in a different way, in a more scalable way. It feels like, what are you talking about, Fabiana? I have been on a roll. Like I'm going. And so I hope that if you are listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, that you can take this as an opportunity to reflect. Are there any areas in your life right now that you may be so deep into the middle of it that you're just like, no, I just have to keep going? Well, maybe not. Maybe there's areas where you actually need to take a break, pause, recalibrate, make sure that you're still focused on the right goal. And if there's some slight deviations that need to happen, being willing to let go and not become attached to that thing that you were working so hard on. Many times I speak with artists and performing musicians who are focused so much on just getting more concerts. and they're booking tours and they're trying to get more agents and more booking venues and more gigs and all these things, right? And they're like, I just need more venues. I need more gigging opportunities. And when I ask them, okay, that's great, but like, what is your actual plan to monetize those gigs? Like when you perform, right? Rather than thinking you need 20 more gigs in the next 6 months, like what happens after those gigs end? Or do you have a plan to create some sort of a recurring income stream that could continue bringing in business for you, or opportunities to share your knowledge, to monetize your experience, such as a back-end program where when you do a gig, people can hear you on the gig, they can they can watch you perform, they can say, wow, I really like who you are as an artist, that you can then say, hey, yeah, and I have this online program that if you want to continue being in my community, you could either watch my creative process. Like there's many artists that have like a way for the general public to just understand their frameworks. There's so many ways that this can be done effectively to just give your audience access to your knowledge without having to necessarily limit your income to that gig, that one-time venue, that one-time performance. It does not have to be that way, right? So I want to encourage you to take this episode and to think for yourself, where in your life maybe are you just going way too fast, and you may feel like you're on a huge momentum. However, there is a need for pause, for recalibration, for reassessing. And if you feel like you're not clear, or you would want to get an additional perspective on how you could recalibrate your goals, feel free to book a call through this link in the show notes. There should be a link somewhere here where you can speak to either myself or someone on my team. And that perspective could help you take a better idea, have a better idea on what areas in your business you need to potentially create a slight deviation, a slight detour from what you've been so hard working on, maybe for months at a time. And therefore help you understand that it's not about the speed, it's about the direction. Remember, if you're just going fast, but you're headed in the wrong direction, ultimately you're going to crash. And so I want to help you prevent that by making sure that you're not just going fast, but you're also going in the right direction. I hope this helps. As always, if this is inspiring to you and you're getting value from my podcast, feel free to leave us a review. In this way, we can reach more people, share our mission of helping musicians create prosperity. Till next time, let's prosper together.